This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 8th year of talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is Alex, it's in red, the Ramble, that's in yellow, and we'll be here until midnight. And now here for a brand new year, ladies and gentlemen, is the lovely Larry Bubbles Brown. Hello, lovely.
Happy New Year, Alex. It's making any predictions?
Am I making any predictions about what?
Is this going to be worse than last year?
No, is it going to be worse than last year? I don't know. I hope not, every year seems to get worse. People, I remember the end of last year, everybody was going, well, thank God this year's over with.
Yes.
And what are they saying this year? Thank God that year's over with. I don't think it gets any better. I think it just gets worse. I really do.
Especially as you get older, yeah.
I think the fact that I'm in the autumn of my years, or probably actually the December of my years, the winter of my years, and you are in the autumn of your years, okay, if we're going to judge life by, the seasons, we don't have to worry about it getting worse. It just gets worse. So,
yeah.
We're not going to have to deal with it like a 20-year-old's going to have to deal with it. So.
Yeah, we're going to miss the real horrors, I think, so maybe we're lucky.
We're going to miss the complete... Well, actually, what's happening now is planet Earth is saying, you really haven't taken care of me, so fuck you. And I'm going to turn... when it comes to a fight between us and planet Earth, guess who's going to win?
Uh-huh.
So...
Which, my God, we had flooding out here and rain like you wouldn't believe the past week and more coming. So.
Well, I was talking to Buddy Love and his wife, and they were saying that they live on a hill, and it was coming down the street. I mean, sidewalks, the water just coming down. I mean, horrible what happened in California, But it's terrible what's happening everywhere. I mean... We had 9-degree weather here a couple of weeks ago, about a week ago. And we don't see that often. I can't remember in the last couple of years going down that low, So, and everybody goes, well, that's not global warming so much as it's just the natural scheme of things. And I'm going, no, you just haven't been taking good care of this planet, you asshole.
Well, Mother Nature will bury us.
Yeah, what I was thinking of here was this football player. I forgot his name now. Darren Hawkins or something like that, or I don't know. What was it? Do you know the name of the football player?
Oh, the guy that got hurt last night?
He didn't get hurt. What happened was he was just there on the field, and he fell down, and he had a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
And so they brought an ambulance onto the field. And they rushed him to the hospital. And I'm wondering, when it passed the end zone, did that team score a point?
As a safety, yeah, 2 points.
It was a safety, 2 points.
Oh, what'd they charge the other team with? Roughing the ticker?
Yeah, let's see if we get more ambulances on the, but... No, it's terrible, But I think football's a deadly sport, if you want my opinion.
Yeah, I think they said his heart got... If you get punched in the chest in the middle of some rhythm of your heart, that can cause a heart attack. And there was a guy that died. They said 50 years ago, a guy for the Detroit Lions actually had that happen, died on the field.
Really?
The only person that's died so far on the field,
Yeah, wow. That's amazing. Well, they got this guy off the field before he died, so...
Yeah, he's still alive. So.
Yeah, he's still alive. At least as we talk now, because this isn't going to be broadcast till Friday. Okay. So he might be dead, and we're just saying things in bad taste here, So,
so only one person in Major League Baseball in 120 years is being killed on the field, and
what was he killed from? Did he die from a heart attack?
1920, a pitch hit him in the head, and
oh, really?
Yeah.
That's why we now wear helmets, I guess.
Yeah, well, they didn't get the helmets going till about the 50s, but
you watch old films of baseball games and football games and so on, and I'm amazed. You're just absolutely amazed by how unprotected they were.
Oh, those old football players, they had leather helmets. That's how bad they were.
They had leather helmets, and I think they were running around in their bathing suits. It was really, and it was just as rough and tumble a sport then as it is now, right?
Oh yeah, football's brutal. I said most football players, by the time they're 50, they're so arthritic they have trouble getting out of bed,
or they can't remember what day it is.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, the brain damage from this thing is just, it's terrible. It's horrible. But you know why we allow it, and why we got to keep going with it. We're going to keep the game going no matter how dangerous it is. The reason we keep doing it is because of betting. Because there's a whole culture of betting out there that is dependent on these games being played, and that these players play their best game. And we don't care about their brain damage. We care about whether we win. The
betting is huge, yes.
But it's all based on betting. All the decisions that are made. If you didn't have betting involved in it, football wouldn't even exist any longer.
No.
When
tell you how big betting is. KGO, a pretty big radio station out here.
Yep.
They just got rid of all their programming. Now it's a 24-hour sports betting station. They just talk
not
about...
just sports. Sports betting.
Yes, it's betting, not sports. It's all betting.
Yeah. So they didn't go to a sports station. I mean, there are a lot of sports stations.
No, it's all about betting. It's got, these games are being played tomorrow. What's the line on this? And how's that look? And blah, blah, blah.
But you go over to an ESPN station, which is an all-sports station, and guess who the biggest advertisers are? DraftKings, things like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, all the decisions that are made in sports are decided on what was at one time an illegal portion of the game, and that's the betting. And why do you care whether this guy is good or not good? Because it's going to affect the betting. So I find it, well, of course I've never been a big sports guy, so I find it ridiculous. Baseball, not so much. I mean, baseball, as you say, it took one guy to get beaned back in the 20s to give us the only death in baseball.
Yeah.
But how many people have died or gotten brain damage from football? I mean, that sport is brutal. And boxing, try that one on for size.
Yeah.
Two guys get into the middle of a ring and try to beat the other ones to knock them out.
You knock them out. Yeah.
Well, to put them in a coma, basically. And you go, what is this about? Why is this such a big deal? I mean, it always bothered me. Always bothered me. And my father used to watch boxing. I've told the story a dozen times. And he loved boxing. He used to watch the Friday night fights. You remember the Friday night fights? They were on, I think it was ABC or CB.
Yeah, I think
NBC.
a little of that. I think that was really early TV, right?
Yeah, that was early TV. Pabst Blue Ribbon sponsored the Friday night fights. And my father would always be glued to our 17-inch Traveler TV. Yes, there was a brand called Traveler TV. And sitting there and yelling at the screen, hit him harder. And one time I finally said to my father, I said, Dad, of all the men that I know, you are the most gentle man that I've ever known. You're inspiration to me on how you should comport yourself as a man. Okay, and you don't have a violent streak in your body. Why is it you sit there while two people are throwing punches at each other, and just putting up with this, and just shouting at it and involving yourself in it? And he said, well, I like boxing because I like to watch two guys beating the hell out of each other and being glad I'm neither of them. So, but I mean,
boxing's a good. Speaking of gambling, that was a lot of boxing matches were thrown. That's easy to fix a boxing match.
Well, it's easy because it's two guys.
Yeah, they did fix the 1919 World Series. That was a little harder.
That was the so-called Black Sox, which
Sox in Cincinnati. Yeah,
were they the Black Sox?
Well, they're the White Sox, but they call them the Black Sox through the series.
Yeah. I didn't think there was ever a team called the Black Sox. But they had to pay off everybody.
They had to pay off most of the major stars of that team, and
well, here's the other thing.
From what I've read, they said many games before that were probably thrown too, but this was the only one that really actually caught them.
Well, the reason they were able to get those guys to throw the game and were able to pay them the money and they would take it was they so hated the team owner. I'm trying to remember what his name was, but he was a horrible man who at Christmas time gave them each a bottle of champagne that was flat. That's the kind of guy he was. He didn't respect his players at all. And so they finally, one day when somebody came along and said, will you throw the game? Here's some money for it. They went, I'll take it, the guy, they deserved to lose that year, and that team owner deserved to get it on the chin because he was just a terrible guy. And I'm trying to remember his name. I used to know his name. But
couldn't have been Comiskey.
No, it wasn't Comiskey. It had a weird name, Wild something, or I can't remember. He had some kind of nickname. And
I think the Rothstein was the guy in the mob that initiated the fixing of it.
Yeah, he was a legend in the mob for having fixed that. And just amazing story. That's an amazing story,
Yeah.
And it's an amazing time. And people on that team, there was who was the big player they had there?
That Joe Jackson.
Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Shoeless Joe, yes.
Yeah, I don't know why they called him Shoeless.
Probably. That's why they were able to buy him off. He couldn't afford shoes.
He couldn't afford shoes. Yeah. Later on in years, when times changed, he was named Payless Joe Jackson. Because remember, that's a joke, folks. Payless shoes, get it? So what'd you do?
They used to fix basketball games it was all about point shaving. So you pick up how much a team's going to win or lose by, and they used to pay off college players. I think in the 50s and 60s. I think that was fairly common.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
like you said, it's all about gambling.
It's all about gambling. It's all about the gambling, and don't say it isn't. I mean, some people just like to watch a football game and get excited by it because it's exciting. I guess I don't know. I don't find it exciting. My sport was baseball. And I don't ask me even who won last year. I have no idea, right? But I just liked baseball because of the lore of the game, the history of the game. You have stories like the fixing of the 1919 World Series. But you also have other stories and legends and so on. And it just was fraught with better stories, I think, than football. You don't have any great football stories, do you?
Not really, yeah. That's a good point.
But you have a lot of great baseball stories. And the other thing is that I like baseball because, in spite of the fact that I don't enjoy sports, and I've never been, believe it or not, to a football game in my life, except maybe my high school football games, But when it came to baseball, anybody who would ask me, "You want to go out to the park?" I go, where do I meet you? You know, because I love sitting in the stands on a sunny day in, say, New York City or San Francisco, and just sitting there and watching this, what is a rather leisurely game. You know, it's a very civilized, leisurely game, and just sitting there, kind of watching, being with friends. Now the hot dog vendor comes by, and you grab a hot dog, you grab a beer or a Coke or something like that, and you're sitting there chomping on food and talking to each other, and all of a sudden something happens. And then we're back to eating again and talking to each other and so on. And it never really gets exciting till the ninth inning. You know?
Right, exactly.
But there was something about it. There was something so civilized about it, so sociable about it, that I love the game. And then I also love the history and the lore of the game, which is, you know, an amazing, amazing history. So, but when it came to football, I looked at that and I said, "There's a bunch of guys trying to kick each other around the field. You know, the biggest, fattest, heaviest, gruntiest guy is the biggest football player, except for," and I never could figure this out, the, what do you call it? The
quarterback.
The quarterback, which I don't understand why they call him a quarterback or anything like that. That's how much I know about sports. The quarterback is always a normal guy, you know? He doesn't have any extra weight or anything like that. He's really kind of slim, and he's usually, in the old days, he was usually white, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just never could understand that game, and I could never. I still don't know how it's really played.
I don't know much about it either. It's one of the few guys I can actually watch those. I don't find it boring. Baseball's gotten to be so slow; it's hard to watch anymore. So,
I mean, I can watch tennis. That's an easy game to understand. Except the difficult part for me about understanding it is the way it's scored. Okay.
I never understood that either.
Yeah.
40 love.
Yeah, 40 love. What's that? You know, I think that's 30-30 or something. I don't know. You know, but I don't understand that. But I do understand that this ball's going back and forth, and somebody's eventually going to miss it. You know.
Now on TV, tennis to me looks very boring, but I understand in person those balls are like coming in like 120 miles an hour.
Well, listen. Let me say this. Which sport do you need the most cameras for to cover in a game?
Most
cameras. Now that would mean that you have to have, at least this was the case a couple of years ago. I don't know if it's still the case because they've changed a lot of the ways they shoot these things. But I had a friend of mine who used to go out and set up these games for networks. Okay, and she always had to have more cameras for one particular sport than for another particular sport. Okay, so what one would you think it was?
I would guess baseball.
You're absolutely correct. Now
you got to get the strike zone for the catcher or the pitcher.
Yeah, but you don't know where that ball's going to go.
You don't know the ball's going to get hit. Yeah,
right. So you got to have coverage on all of that. And so she had to order 9 guys. She had to order up something like 14 cameras or something like that. You know,
Jesus.
And now football, on the other hand, really, it's just back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, it's going one direction.
Yeah. They've since upgraded it to where they go to close-ups and things like that. But basically, and of course, basketball, I think you just need one camera, you know. You know, but I think even now they like to get, like, if somebody's going to throw a ball into the hoop, they, like, you know, go in for a close-up. But it's, baseball is the one that takes the most cameras. The tennis, I'm sure, doesn't take much, you know, because really with tennis you can only have one shot, and you never. What are you going for close-ups for? You know, occasionally they'll go for a close-up when the ball isn't in play, but once it's in play, that's a pretty steady shot, you know. So did you learn something, folks, about TV?
There you go. Yeah, I didn't know that you actually like baseball. See, we learn something new every day.
Well, I mean, I like the lore of it. I like the history. I love the romanticism of it. I love the social aspect of it. When you go to the park, it's not people you're painting themselves up in blue paint, and sitting there acting like assholes like they do in football. And I got to tell you, I just love the history of baseball.
Well, you were here in 1958 as when the New York Giants moved to San Francisco.
You're absolutely right. We had not, when I was a kid, we had not had any baseball teams being played in San Francisco that anybody cared about. They had a
minor league team.
We had the San Francisco Seals. That's where Joe DiMaggio came from, but it wasn't until he went to the Yankees that anybody knew who the hell he was, But the San Francisco Seals, and they were a farm team, basically.
Right.
And nobody cared about them. Nobody cared about baseball. We cared about football because we had schools like Stanford, and UC Berkeley, and so on. And so we cared about football, but I didn't, but people did. But we didn't care about baseball. Baseball was something that didn't come, west of the Mississippi. And then all of a sudden, one day, here come the Dodgers and here come the Giants. And it was like a whole different thing. All of a sudden, kids started becoming interested in baseball. And it was really a big day. They did that. You know why the Giants came out here?
Well, the Giants, they moved from New York to the West Coast because I guess they weren't drawing well in New York.
No. The Dodgers paid them to. The Dodgers realized if they went to Los Angeles and there wasn't any other team on the West Coast, nobody would care about them.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So that if they had two teams come out from New York, and the Giants were like the third out of three teams in New York, okay? If the Giants came out, they would give the West Coast credibility in baseball, which it did. It moved the whole focus of the game to both coasts, and but they literally paid the Giants to leave with them. So
wow, and
yeah.
that's.
Now,
when I was a kid,
yeah.
I lived in Ohio. I'd listen to Cincinnati Reds games on the radio, and this is talk about technology. The games that were when the Reds would come out and play on the West Coast. The radio in Cincinnati would play. They got it on ticker tape, and the guy had to recreate the game.
I worked for a guy named Gordon McClendon in Texas, and he made his fortune in the beginning by recreating baseball games. He had the Liberty Radio Network, and he would do exactly that. He sat in Dallas with somebody and a ticker tape sending him the latest line scores, So you like a hit, and then there's a miss, and whatever. Then he had a guy who was a sound effects guy.
Yeah, what crowd noises and everything.
At crowd noises and the hit of the bat and ball and so on.
Wow!
And he would recreate them in the studio. His recreations were so good they got more listeners than the actual game did. He did this for quite a few years. Made his original fortune in broadcasting doing that, and he was known as the Old Scotchman. Maybe some people listening may remember the Old Scotchman, and he faked these games, literally recreated them, and baseball did not like this because they were selling the rights to baseball games to radio stations, and they were getting beaten out by this guy who was simply sitting in Dallas with a ticker tape doing a better description and a more exciting description than the one of the actual game. So they eventually, how at the end of the game they would say any recreation of this game Is strictly
Expressly
prohibited unless you get written permission from the head of the
Major League Baseball. Yeah.
Major League Baseball, and that was because of Gordon McClendon. They made it illegal for him to do this because this is copywritten, and you shouldn't. You can't. You notice how they say recreate in the actual statement. Any whatever and recreation of this game, any description or recreation of this game, strictly prohibited. And that was because of Gordon McClendon, because he was so good at what he did. And that's the reason we have laws today, is because people were too good at what they did. So anyway, listen, we've run out of time here, my friend.
Yes, we have.
Oh, it's just good to talk to you in the new year. We'll see you again next week in another moment of the new year.
Yes, we'll see you as this year has collapsed already.
Larry Bubbles Brown.
Sagapnet, la grande broadcast network ricain. Parler radio comme vous n'en avez jamais entendu.
Okay, hello there. That's for our French listeners. So we want to keep them happy, okay? All the people up in Canada, too, say, because they speak French. Hi, everybody. I'm Alex Bennett. I'm biding my days here on planet Earth and, trying to do the best I can. I decided that I'm gonna start doing more stuff. I'm gonna go out more often, even though I don't have the strength to do it. But I'm gonna go out and do stuff because I decided that if my days are limited here, which they are. I mean, at 83, let's be honest, I'm not going to live to be another 30 years. Okay, I would love to live to be 100, not because I want to live to be 100, but I'd like to see us going to Mars. Is that a strange reason to want to live that long? Anyway, everybody, we're going to go out and talk to some people here who are already waiting. Just a handful, but a decent handful, the intelligent handful. Our two friends who are Josh Wheeler and Charlie Wallace. Hello, Charlie. Okay, what does it say on the shirt tonight?
It says be greater than average.
Oh, okay. All right. Where do you buy those? I mean, I ask you this. Is it like Amazon? Is that where you go for them?
I got 99% of my shirts from Amazon.
Now, does it say on Amazon, here are scientific shirts?
Yeah, I put scientific T-shirts.
You type in scientific T-shirts.
Yeah, and it takes me to a whole list of them.
Well, you know what I'm going to do?
Hundreds of them.
I'm going to send away for some. And then I'm not going to know what they mean. And then you're going to tell me.
Okay.
Okay. Be greater than average. That's terrific. That's terrific. I like that. Hello, Josh. How are you this evening?
All right. How you doing?
Fine. They had another vote tonight, didn't they? I didn't catch it.
That's going on right now. It's down to the very end. I don't know if anyone else is going to vote or not, but
how does it look?
Fucking at well, this is the closest one. He needs one more vote.
Oh, really?
Matt Gaetz voted present rather than voting for somebody, and I think they thought it was going to get him, but now they haven't called for anybody else yet. So McCarthy just went out there to talk to him like 30 seconds ago, and they got into it pretty decent with the pointing of the fingers and all that, and then a couple people had to come down there and get between them. So.
Oh, really? Oh, this is wonderful. Isn't this wonderful? The only thing that can make it better is if it were two women, because we all like girl fights.
I mean, you can't hardly find two more smug, arrogant, fucking low-life pieces of shit than those two,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if McCarthy didn't act like a fucking idiot all the time, people might not dislike him so much.
I was saying to Marjorie today, I can't believe this is the first time I've agreed with Matt Gaetz. I mean.
See, the problem is a couple people voted present, which is like not voting.
Yeah.
So it lowers the threshold of the number of votes that he needs. But he still has to get a majority. So they've already called everybody's name, and then they got to the end and they had to call Gaetz because he didn't vote the first time. He hadn't made it to the chamber yet. So I did the math, and it was 216, 212, 4 for others, 2 present. It's 434. So if you divide that by 2, you need one more than that.
Yeah. So,
Divided by 2 is 217 is a majority, and he's only got 216. So I don't know if there's anybody left to vote or not. They're probably trying to get somebody to change their vote or something. Now they're all huddled around him again. So I don't know. They're probably trying to convince someone to change their vote because you can change your vote, but I don't know. If no one else votes, I guess it's not over yet. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, how can he feel he's won anything by this? You know, unless he has such a supreme ego that he's going, oh, look, I won. No, you didn't. You eked it out. You waited it out until people were so exhausted they wanted to go home.
Yet.
yeah.
I mean, he hadn't won yet. I mean, if no one else votes, I mean, maybe I did some math wrong or something, but I mean.
No, you got it right.
I don't know. I mean, they.
So if no one else votes for McCarthy.
You'll have to do it again tomorrow or Monday.
Monday, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what their plan's going to be, but it's.
Well, you know, you can tell that everybody's getting bored with this because when you go over to MSNBC, they weren't even real. They were carrying it, but they were just showing it, but they were talking over all of it.
Yeah.
You know, and they got this douchebag Steve Kornacki.
Yeah.
Who can't dress up for work, you know? He wears khaki pants that, by the way, looks like he's wearing a jock strap because they're cut really badly. And then he wears his sleeves rolled up, and that's supposed to be like, hey, I'm really doing a job here. And then he points to names, and if we do this and if we do that, it's all hands, right?
Yeah.
I wish they'd get rid of that son of a bitch. I really do. Because today I was trying to watch the thing, and he's going, and then this is happening, and that is happening. And I'm going, you just shut the fuck up, you know. Just lighten up, pal. We don't need you. You know? I'd like to hear what's going on. I would like to hear some of the votes and who's saying them and so on. But no, they're getting tired of carrying it. So now they got to put up Kornacki with his board, and then Andrew Mitchell does a monologue, you know, which is dreadful these days. I mean, I hate to say this. I can say it though, and I can get a huge asshole just entered the waiting room.
That's Kevin.
It's got to be somebody like Kevin or let's see here. Yes, you were right. Huge asshole is Kevin.
He changed it to that during the show last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, this show?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see it happen. I don't know why when he first signs on, he has all that noise in his picture, and then it gets better. I have no idea. Maybe I'll send you a new webcam there.
No one pays attention to me.
Nah.
What do you mean?
And it goes away in a few minutes, so who cares?
Yeah, no, it disappears after a while, so it's pretty good. But right now it looks like 1950s television, you know.
I'm beaming in.
Yes, slowly beaming in. But anyway, so I mean, I just, you know, I mean, I think this guy has lost it because, you know, the thing he should have said was, hey, you know, I'm not going to prolong this whole thing. I don't want to do the party any damage or whatever. I'm withdrawing my nomination. And then go get somebody they all agree on. But no, he's not a nice guy. He's not the kind of human. In fact, what is it with Republicans? We don't have human beings in the Republican Party anymore. I mean,
yeah.
Am I right?
Well, yeah.
When he gets in, there's nothing going to get done anyway. So what the hell's the difference? It's still going to be the same old shit.
Well, they're going to try a lot of stuff. For instance, they're going to try and, I don't know, buy Hunter Biden's laptop or something.
Right, but that's going to basically bog down the whole Congress for another 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, but why do you want to waste your time with Hunter Biden? I mean, you know, it's not going to come to anything.
No.
You know.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. They looks like they've called everybody, and then they've called everybody that didn't vote the first time, you know, because they missed their turn or whatever. So at the end, they catch up all those people, you know, the 3, 4, 5, and they did all those. And then basically at the end, it's over, but they they have a period where they, if anyone wants to change or whatever, and that's been going on now for forever, and they just keep showing people talking to him. I'm sure they're trying to ask him to change his vote from present to McCarthy, and that would hand it to him right there, but I don't know, he doesn't seem inclined to do it, so I think that's what they're waiting on right now, but that's the interesting thing. And then it's kind of interesting that there was an article like maybe yesterday or something in the Washington Post that said, I don't really know who gave permission. I thought it used to be the speaker that did it.
Right.
So I don't, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But C-SPAN's cameras are normally not allowed to roam the chamber. They're only supposed to focus on the speaker, not the speaker, but whoever is talking. Whether it be on the dais or whether it be someone from one of the desks or whatever. But they were given permission, a few days ago before all this started to let their cameras go anywhere they wanted. They could show the whole chamber. They could, do what, and they've been doing it, and they've been, focusing in on these moments and stuff like that. So I don't know who gave them that permission or how they got it. People have been saying that after this is all over, it'll probably revert back to the old rules where they can't really do that, which whatever. But I mean, it's nice that they're been able to show it. And, that's how we get these looks of, those two guys getting in each other's face and all that kind of stuff is, we got a right to see that. I mean, if you ask me, the people's business is done in public.
Well, listen,
so,
Gates is an asshole, but why make him a hero by getting into a fight with him?
Yeah.
I mean, I can, who can stand Matt Gates? But then again, who can stand Kevin McCarthy outside of the Republicans in Congress who are
that's
idiots.
the other person that voted present to try to help him out was Boebert, that fucking hoe. So I mean, they made some concession to him or whatever, but I don't know, unless I don't understand how it was going to work. I don't think that it's done yet, but maybe I'll check some news reports to make sure I did it right. But
well, let me see here. I can always go over to Drudge and see. I have a TV.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The Washington Post basically just put up what I said, that it's ended basically in a deadlock at 216.
Well,
he needed, one more. Yeah, he needed one more vote. He needed Gates' vote to put him over the top, but he instead voted present. So McCarthy and his allies rushed over to Gates, who's sitting next to that hoe from Colorado. And then there was a dramatic showdown, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, basically just everything that I just
Well, what happens when you vote
said
present?
it better.
What happens when you vote present? Is that considered you voting?
Well, yeah, that's your vote. So what it does is it's almost like you didn't vote. So it's like you weren't present.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to get a majority of the votes that are present.
Oh, okay. So if you say present, then they can't bring the number down.
So
okay.
whatever the number for a quorum is, as long as there's a quorum present, it's the number of votes of people who are within the quorum. So, if they're only supposed to have, to have a quorum in the House, I think it's a majority. So I think it's 217. If there were only 217 members there, then it would just be the majority of those 217 votes. The rest of people didn't show up. That's their problem.
Yeah.
That's how they occasionally sneak things through or whatever. But
yeah. So in other words, yeah, because Marjorie was saying to me, well, that's like not a person there, and I said, no, that's a person who was there who's saying I'm here. You can count me as part of the.
I'm voting present. In other words, I'm not voting for anybody, which basically just lowers the number of votes that are used to tabulate for the majority. If that makes sense. So if two people voted present, and there's 435 there, which I don't think there was, but let's say there was. Mm-hmm. Instead of taking a majority of 435, two people voted present, they're going to take a majority of 433.
Yeah.
Which is, you need one less or whatever. So, that's how they do it. But, it's kind of weird, but. That's what happened. Yeah. They just C-SPAN just put it up. Not enough votes.
Not enough votes.
And we didn't make it.
And which was this? Was this the 14th?
This was the 14th that took place right after the 13th, I think.
Yeah.
No, they had a break. No, they had a break earlier today. That's right.
Yeah. Everybody said, okay, that when it was at 8, that it was the first time that has happened in 100 years, which is true.
Oh, yeah.
It happened in 1923. But when it finally went to like 10, they said, this hasn't happened for like almost 200 years.
Yeah.
You have to go all the way back before the Civil War.
Before the Civil War. Yep.
Yeah. To get this to be worse than it is right now. And I think in those days they may have had different rules and stuff like that, so it made this thing go on and on and on, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But there's a picture here on Drudge of McCarthy just looking miserable. You know, I want him to twist in the wind, you know. I mean, he thought he had it made on this vote, and he didn't have it made on this vote.
Well, I mean, he's got no one to blame but himself. I mean,
He moved into the speaker's office already.
Yeah. Yeah, he moved in. Don't start putting up the curtains yet there.
I mean, I just don't like the way he conducts himself. You know, I mean, I've been, you know, I told Patrick and Kevin earlier, you know, I don't like the way how every time someone votes for him that's new or like they nominate him or whatever, he acts like he does the Richard Nixon, you know, like every time, you know, and when they nominate Jeffries, he just goes, you know, I mean, you know, but I mean, he stands up and he's, you know, doing the Nixon deal. I mean, it looks like he's on the nomination stage for the presidency that night, and the balloons and everything.
It looks like
you know,
the Democrats are enjoying every minute of this.
Right. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you're losing, right? I mean, he just reminds me of like an NFL player doing one of their stupid ass fucking celebrations after an interception or a sack. And the other team's like, y'all motherfuckers know you're losing by like 30, right? I mean,
there is a flag down, you know? By the way.
Right. You know, I mean, it's just funny, you know, right. I mean, just that's what it reminds me of. It's like, fuck, man, you know, I don't know. But I mean, he's kind of a dick, really. I mean,
yep.
You know,
kind of a dick?
Right. I mean,
one dick.
But, you know, I mean, I think they're gonna. Okay, so now they put forward a motion to adjourn. So
and it ain't happening.
We'll see if that happens or not. But
yeah, well, they just
luckily that vote goes pretty fast. I mean,
yelling and say they're not going to adjourn, and they will. You know,
the people that I feel bad for is, you know, the clerk of the House. You know, because the only time the House ever
I'm sure what McCarthy's saying to himself is, just one more blowjob. That's all I need to give. Just one more blowjob.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the only time the House really votes by voice vote, recorded voice vote, is these ceremonial votes, like for the speaker. You know, all the rest of their votes are recorded by electronic vote. You know, because there's 435 people. You know, they still voice vote in the Senate, but there's only 100 of them. You know, that's what I said. You know, the only job I think in life I ever really wanted was to be the clerk of the U.S. Senate, so I could be that guy that fucking said, you know, Mrs. Clinton, no. You know, I mean, I fucking you know, I mean,
yeah, but I don't know if you would have wanted that job right now. I feel sorry for that woman who's got the job.
I was gonna say, but the clerk of the House, she's fucking stuck doing this shit, you know, by voice vote.
I mean, she's probably gonna go home tonight and dream of this. You know,
she's gonna have to get like a union or whatever. Says she can only do like 2 a day, or some shit like that, or what? You know, I mean, you know, like a clerk of the House union or some shit. I don't know,
but you know, Republicans out there aren't going to take this as a sign of weakness or whatever. You know, but the people who are in the middle are looking very badly towards this.
Yeah.
You know, because they're showing exactly what's dysfunctional about Washington. All the things they thought were dysfunctional. And guess who's not dysfunctional? The Democrats.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean,
they're just too nice to win. That's all. That's their problem.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just funny. I mean, you know, I don't know. He just, like I said, every time someone would vote for him today or whatever, he would, like do his touchdown dance or whatever. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? I mean, this is the guy people want to be the leader? I mean, what?
Yeah.
They really need to find someone more coalition and just understand that means that they're not going to get to push through their crazy agenda, but that's the way it should be. They weren't given a huge majority. That's not the mandate of the people. That's not the will of the people.
Right.
Like I read earlier that one of the concessions that he gave already that he's agreed to, and that's what I told Patrick earlier. I said his one concession that he gave earlier was to agree to make sure that he supports the bill to cut defense spending by $75 billion. Republicans used to cry if you wanted to cut defense spending, and now they want to cut it by $75 billion this year. I mean,
well, I'm not against.
Can you imagine if just last year, if just Democrats had said we want to cut defense spending by $75
the Republicans would have been
billion dollars?
Yeah,
They would have lost their mind.
Yeah, but
and now that's what these crazy 20 people want, because they think that money is being wasted because we're giving it to Ukraine to fight an enemy
that's
by the way for 100 years. Yeah. I mean,
if they said they wanted to cut back the defense budget because it's too high, I would agree with that. But if the purpose is to take money away from Ukraine, we're spending our money on something well worth it.
That's why they want to cut it, because they think it's being wasted in Ukraine. It's those 20 crazy people, the ones who want the investigation on the money in Ukraine and all that. The Lauren Boeberts and the Marjorie Taylor Greens.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm just saying that Republicans used to want a strong defense budget, and they used to support anti-communist, anti-fascist effort.
Yeah.
I mean, anti-expansionist efforts. Where is that now?
Yeah.
Who owns them?
I mean, so, I mean, what? Even just 2 years ago, if Democrats had proposed to cut the defense budget by $75 billion, I mean, right off the top, that would have been the biggest story for weeks.
Oh, Tony, clean your lens again.
Clean your lens. I was just about to text you.
Should I use the other computer, because this one is old?
No, just all you have to do is clean the lens. No, not with your finger. That's going to make it worse.
Yeah,
I think this is an old laptop.
Get a piece of tissue or paper. Yeah.
Hold on a second. I don't think it's going to work or anything.
No, just get some. Yeah.
I would just like to thank C-SPAN, because I thought the Warriors were on tonight, but this was much more entertaining.
They're on.
Yeah. Okay. Now there you go.
I don't know if it's going to do anything. This is old.
Oh yeah, it's better.
Yeah, I mean, when
it's better.
When I watched this, I didn't go to CNN or anybody tonight because I don't need any commentary. I just put it straight on C-SPAN for the U.S. House, and I showed you. I did the math. It was easy. I mean, I didn't need anyone to explain that.
Oh no, you need Steve Kornacki with his big board.
Are they still voting?
Plus, you could hear who they were talking. You could hear the names coming instead of waiting and then go. Oh, hold on. Oh wait. Oh no, hold on. So yeah, C-SPAN.
Yeah. No, that's Steve Kornacki. He's annoying. They even have him on Sunday Night Football now to break down. It's like, I don't need this motherfucker.
Really?
That's the last thing on earth that I wanted Steve Kornacki to get involved with.
And is he still there in the same khaki pants and the shirt with the sleeves rolled up?
Sleeps in that shirt.
All I know is that I am a person who is an elderly person at that, who is watching MSNBC, and somehow, I don't know, I would just like my people to dress up, and these people who are affected, like Jim Jordan, good example. He does the same thing. Never wears a jacket in a congressional hearing. Always has his sleeves rolled up. I mean, how affected is that?
So I go and drop off my other daughter in high school, and these kids wear pajama bottoms now to school.
Yeah.
And so
you mean these things here?
Yes, exactly.
I wear them now.
So we've gone to this society that used to wear suit and ties to baseball games,
Yeah.
And now they're going to school wearing pajamas.
Well, you see,
Yeah, we should put them on.
well, I can't. I guess you can't see it. I wear them basically because it's the best I can do. I'm giving up. That's the reason I wear them all the time at home.
But you don't wear them to school.
No, I don't wear them to school. Although, you know, Marjorie does now. She puts her sweats over them when she goes out in cold weather now.
I call them long pants now. I walk around.
When you went to school, did you wear a suit? Did you wear a jacket, or what did you?
When I went to school, no. But we were, you know, we didn't wear jeans. You didn't wear jeans. Jeans weren't allowed back then.
Oh, okay.
But you know,
invented then. Sorry,
I can't remember.
I don't know if this. I
don't
know if this German vote's going to pass or not. Right now, it doesn't look like it is. But
the German vote.
Yeah, I mean, there's already 214 nay votes. So
let's go again.
Can they send in? Can they send in for food?
I mean, they keep voting.
They order food. Yeah.
Can they send in for alcohol and popcorn? They can send in for food, I guess.
Yeah, pizza. No, McCarthy brought a bunch of pizzas in, and he thought that was going to make people change.
They can probably open the kitchen where
but he didn't give any pizzas to. Wait, he didn't give any pizzas to the Democrats.
Have you been listening to Colbert the last couple nights? His monologues.
I find him hard to take.
No, you should just listen to the monologues. Just go on. The monologues are actually they're very funny. Yeah.
Well, I can't take Colbert.
Same here, but my friend sent me the monologue.
I'll tell you, if I'm going to watch a monologue, I'll watch Jimmy Kimmel.
I think Colbert's still a better politician.
You know who did a good closer look was what's his name last night?
Seth Meyer, yeah.
Seth Meyer did a closer look last night. Was just freaking hilarious.
Really? Okay.
Oh, it was awesome.
Well, he's better than Colbert. You know.
Yeah. Seth Meyers. Yeah, I was going to send it to you. It was good. Look it up. Was just.
But some guy wanted to attack Gates. He went leaning for him, but the camera, C-SPAN, just moved away, and the guy started leaning in on him.
Well, they said that McCarthy got into it.
Yeah, and then he had to walk away. Yeah, that was hilarious. Oh man.
They should start having a fight right on the floor.
See, I mean, as I said before, when did I wake up and suddenly agree with Matt Gaetz? I mean,
It's getting bad. It's getting desperate.
If you told me a week ago I was watching this on a Friday night.
Yeah. What did you say, Brian?
I just say if you told me a week ago I'd be here on a Friday night home watching C-SPAN, I don't know.
I know.
Well, if all those it's all the same morons, and if they'd all just go away, things would get done in that place. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But I mean, this shows the dysfunction. But on top of that, if you've got a guy as the Speaker of the House, he's a leader of his party,
morons.
And he is supposed to get stuff pushed through. He can't even get himself pushed through. Yeah, okay,
that's a message right there.
Yes. You know, in fact, in the last vote, he didn't even vote for himself. It was very strange.
I mean, you know, they want this sort of this vote of no confidence type of clause, basically, where any member at any time can call for a removal of the speaker, and then they got to stop what they're doing and vote for it. Right? You know, it just takes one member. So basically, they could have it's tantamount to the vote of no confidence you see in, Great Britain, but, those are not as easy to call as, I don't think just one member can do that in Great Britain. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it takes more than that. I'm not an expert in their parliamentary system, but I mean, I don't think just one member can call for a vote of no confidence every day just because they want to or whatever. I mean, that's what I'm saying. They want this, crazy
Well,
stuff.
one of the things that that McCarthy agreed to was somebody, and I can't remember who, his condition was, and he went along with it, that they would try and pass a rule that you can get rid of the House Speaker by one person. Yeah. By one person saying it,
Well, that's what I'm saying is I don't, think the one person could decide it, but the one person could call for the vote.
Yeah.
Then it would take a majority to remove them, but, I don't know how much of that stuff
every other day they'd be getting nothing done.
Right. And like I said, so is it going to be the same rules that they use now, where it's only the members present at the time for the quorums?
Well, you know,
or
the
are they
one
gonna
thing,
have to keep all the people there all the time.
the one thing about this first day in Congress is that all the people who were going to be sworn in were allowed to bring their families.
Yes.
Okay. Well, they can't be sworn in until they have a Speaker of the House.
No pictures.
Yeah. So now, if you look at it, there are very few kids left sitting there. They just don't want, Daddy, I don't want to go back. Let me know when you're a congressman. Yeah. Because that's got to be the most boring show for kids to sit through.
If we could get microphones, I would pay per view for that.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to hear what those guys are talking about.
We're talking about what? Among
Trying
themselves?
Yeah, like when they're talking to Gates there, and just to hear what they're
Well,
saying.
from everybody here who said they saw it, it looked like it wasn't a Happy Fizzies party.
No, it wasn't. So it'd be nice to hear what they're saying.
Wow, it's amazing. God, what just a dysfunctional society we live in.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, Tony, what's new with you? You finished with your radiation?
Yeah, today's my last day. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Today's your
I'm a little
last
tired.
day? Oh, congratulations.
It was pretty. It's actually pretty easy. I thought I was a little fatigued.
Well, I
here and there,
figured,
but not really.
I figured when I was finished with my 5th day, I know, I'm a pussy. When I was finished with my 5th day, which was the complete course I took, I thought I was going to get like a little diploma, or they were going to bring me a little radiation cake or something like that, you know? Nothing. And I'd heard that they usually did, but maybe, did they do it for you on your last day?
Actually, when I went in, the nurses and the technicians, they were like, hey, because I was always talking to everybody because I was a little nervous at first. So I didn't know what to expect, really. Then I was kind of getting used to it, listening to the music. It was like I kind of like settled in, really. Because I said, I started to enjoy it after a while. It was something to do, I guess.
That was Tony's social life for the last month.
Oh, God. I'm going to miss the Jamaican guy, Alex. This guy was crazy. He's funny, but he was off the wall, really.
Yeah. By the way, Charlene has a new haircut.
Well, I have to call her. She was messaging me when I was in radiation, but I couldn't get to her.
Oh.
Well, she's there now.
Oh, well, you know what it was? So they did say, congratulations. They were, they didn't give me anything. Like, but they was like, you were such a good patient.
But how do they know now if it's gone away? Well, they'll just do
I guess they could monitor, but I still have to go back for the seeds in like 3 weeks. I do a seed.
Or you're going to do the seeds?
Yeah, has a booster. He said, just he wanted to do a combo.
Mine was the other way around. He said he was doing the radiation to just kind of give it a start, but that the seeds would do it.
Yeah, I mean, I had the option.
But my guy is the American seed guy. He did Rudy Giuliani's seeds.
Oh shit, he made Rudy live.
I hope he didn't plant in me what he planted in him, because
Imagine that's why Rudy's going crazy, Alex. Maybe put something different in him.
Yeah.
Do you see there's a documentary on Giuliani coming up? I think CNN. It's saying from our mayors from the
what happened to America's mayor or something like that.
Yeah, what happened to America's mayor?
I was going to mention that.
That's coming up, right, Charlene? That's coming up.
CNN special.
Let's be honest. He wasn't too bright when he was a mayor. Okay, right. This is the guy. Do you remember there was World Trade Center 3?
Mm-hmm.
You remember? And you know where he put all the gasoline for the supply for standby in New York City? In World Center 3. In spite of people told him they should have put it out in Brooklyn, rather than someplace that might, hey, it wasn't like they hadn't tried to down the tower once before.
Yeah.
About 10 years earlier, they drove a truck in there with dynamite and everything, but it just didn't even make a dent. But
you think that would have been a light bulb in his head to be like, maybe we should.
Oh, yeah, but let's put it in World Trade Center 3. Well, World Trade Center 3, did it come down? I think it did.
Yeah,
I think
or it's supposed, but the gasoline didn't get let loose.
Detonated was like crazy.
Yeah.
And Alex, wasn't the control center for like the police and firemen and everything there or something?
Yeah, I mean, it was the worst place in the world to put
He's a real genius.
Yeah,
Right?
he's not much. He wasn't much of a genius then either. The only thing he did was he kind of wrote the book on how a mayor should handle this kind of event. And he was on television every day. He was telling people what was going on, and that gave people a certain calmness in the face of all of this. But, you know, I think that, what's his name? Our former mayor, our former governor, Cuomo, wrote the book on how to handle a pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he handled it perfectly. The reason we got through it, Marjorie and I, is because we watched him every day. You know, and we got the latest scoop on what he was doing and what you should do. And he was the rally boy, as it were. It was good. Yeah. Yes, yes, Charlene.
To me, it kind of reminded me of the fireside chats by FDR on the radio.
Yeah, FDR did the fireside chats. Yeah, they were the same kind of thing. So, I mean, Giuliani really kind of wrote the book on how to handle a tragedy like that, you know. So, he was America's mayor. So, why don't you live with that? Why don't you live up to it? And why don't you try to do better? But he turned into this absolute
nutcase,
scumbag.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, to a point where I don't think even there's a Republican that wants to think about Rudy Giuliani for anything, you know? So
he's like batshit crazy now.
Yeah, he's batshit.
From Batman.
With the dye dripping off his head. And
so my question is, where do we go from here? I mean, if we've got this dysfunctional, a Democrat, a Republican, and then they're a majority, but only a majority by what, 3? Something like that?
Yeah,
Maybe, five maybe. That's
five.
not a lot. You know, it's nothing to brag about. And
Looks like they're not going to adjourn.
Huh?
Looks like they're not going to adjourn.
Oh God! Oh, not another vote.
I mean, it was close. It was a tie, and then McCarthy went back down there and I think changed his vote. And then a whole bunch of people are changing their vote now from yay to nay. So that makes me wonder if they didn't work something out with Gates where he said, okay, I embarrassed you like I wanted to, and now I'll vote for you if we have another vote or something. Like, why would those Republicans suddenly who wanted to adjourn now all of a sudden not want to adjourn? You know, because now it's swung way in favor of not adjourning.
Still, this is going to be what, the 15th?
Yeah, it was tied, and now they're still changing votes. I mean,
really?
Now it's way over the threshold.
But this is the 15th. So. This is going to be the 15th voting?
Yeah, the next one will be the 15th, correct. So I almost wonder if that means they worked something out with him. Or
oh, well, I mean, McCarthy should be really proud of himself.
He may have to stop paying people off soon, right in front of everybody.
Yeah. You get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have the votes to adjourn tonight, so.
Charlie, how you feeling about this? You're a little quiet right now.
About all this, I'm just enjoying the show.
Last night we had Rob on here, who.
I was glad to hear from him.
Can I say what I was going to say?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. He last night I said to him, "Do you know what's going on here?" And he did. Well, he kind of didn't know, so I told him, and I said to him, and on the first vote, McCarthy didn't get it, and on the second vote, McCarthy didn't get it, and on the third vote, McCarthy didn't get it. I said, now, if you were on your third vote and you didn't get it, and you were in his place, what would you do? He said, I would probably take my name away from nomination so that my party could look good. You know? I said, they're on their 11th now. And his jaw dropped, you know. It's hard to believe. It's just so hard to believe. Look, Tony's frozen. We really love that face he's frozen with. Look at that. Anyway. Huh?
Maybe it's the radiation.
There should be like a rule that.
Hey, you're. Oh, now you're not frozen.
It's FiOS by me, Alex. It's chopping my internet sometimes.
Do you have the fiber?
Yeah, and so I gotta. You know what? I think that I gotta call the guy up. I think he's gotta check something outside. It's been breaking up.
Well, I mean, I have fiber here, and I poop like crazy.
Oh, so he told me you may go a little bit more. Not too bad. Oh, a little bit I did go.
No, I found the fibers pretty clean, but I've
I'm actually an oatmeal guy.
I've got basically a gig up and a gig down. So, it's I'm not taking any chances. I could probably cut it in half and still have great, throughput.
Yeah, because I notice it pops out.
What?
I think it's the Wi-Fi connect itself, the router.
Wi-Fi. Well, it all ends at the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
For anything that I do here, I don't have Wi-Fi. I don't use the Wi-Fi.
You're just direct connected.
Yeah, the only thing I use the Wi-Fi for is like TV sets around the house and so on. But in here in the studio, it's all hardwired, So, well, what else is happening in the United States?
They caught that guy. Me and my sister riveted to that case in Idaho.
That was a week ago.
I know, but me and her are like glued on. I was just over there having coffee and cake, and me and her are like, "Oh, put on the other channel. They got him." I hope they throw the book at this guy. They should get him. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, you don't know whether he's guilty or innocent. You haven't heard the testimony.
But they said the girl in the house came face to face with.
That's fine. That's fine. But you can't judge the guy until he's gotten through the court of law. I mean, nothing gets me madder than the fact that we consider somebody guilty because he's been caught. There's a thing called a trial that has to take place, and then you can think.
Yeah.
I still maintain that O.J. is not guilty because he is. Because he is.
You're right about that technique. The Furman blew that whole case up, though. He planted the
let's not go back to that one.
Yeah.
Let's not go back to that.
I was watching I felt like a lawyer. I was like, Perry Mason.
Would you agree with me, Josh, that really we should go by the rule of law and let a case see itself through the courts rather than sit around and say, "Oh, that guy's guilty," because we have no information. Tony does not have any information.
No, I'm thinking I think a lot of DNA.
You're just seeing what
until we see.
You're looking and seeing what you saw on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people, have the right to their own opinion, but I don't think that. I don't think we should have all that stuff out there a lot of times the way we do. I don't care for the way that prosecutors oftentimes go out there and tell everyone all their evidence and all that. I mean, I think they should put that stuff out at the trial. And then the media can report on it as it gets put out at the trial, but I don't like the way they.
Yeah, in England,
I don't like the way they do it beforehand.
In England, when they charge somebody with a crime, they go out in front of the press and say, "So and so, we've just filed charges against him. Thank you." And that's the last you ever hear of, whatever their equivalent of a district attorney is, because they just don't believe in trying cases in the press. And I always agreed with that 100%. Yes, Charlene.
Well, it's funny. Right before I, came on, I was watching them try it in the media, and I learned that from you. And I've been telling everybody that, like out here in New Jersey, all these people I know. One of my friends that, she's a profiler because she worked for the state. She keeps telling me, oh, and she's sending me pictures of the guy, and oh, look at his eyes, and he did it, and they're getting mad at me because I learned this.
Yeah, see, I mean, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, we should not try. The one thing that I was taught here in New York, when I worked at WMCA, they sat me down with a bunch of lawyers who told me how to run a talk show from the standpoint of the law, and they said, we do not, in New York City, we have a law where we do not try cases in the press. And what they're doing is some people are trying this guy already in the press, and they shouldn't be. I mean, he has the right to his day in court, and, for him to say what he says he did or didn't do, and yes, Charlene.
One guy, I forget his name, but he was saying something about they have so much evidence now, like DNA and all this, he thinks it's going to be cut and dry. That maybe they could.
Well, he has no right to say that. He has no right to say that. He shouldn't say that.
From you, Alex. How dare he say that? Right?
Yeah, you shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Because let's say just for the sake of argument, okay, Tony, especially, that he turns out to be innocent. Let's just say that happens. What's happened to his life? You know, everybody should have the right
You have to leave the country.
to their day in court, okay? And we should all presume innocence until proven guilty. That's the way we. Am I right, Josh? That's how we supposedly are supposed to look at stuff, right? There's the presumption of innocence. That's what differs us from British law. You're guilty to begin with, I think, in British law, and then you have to prove you're innocent. Whereas here, they have to prove you're guilty, and you're to be presumed innocent until they can. So if that's the law here, shouldn't we live by that? Or am I wrong? Am I just being...
Well, we should. I mean, we don't do it, as well as we should, but...
We don't do it at all. We don't do it at all.
Well, the only thing bad with them talking in the age, I think, of social media, I told my sister, how are you going to get a court? How are you going to get jurors on this court and not be biased? It's so out in the open.
Oh, I think you can find them. Yeah.
You think you could then, or do you think they're going to? Maybe would they move the? Will they move?
The only thing that bothers me about it is it became such a big case because it was 4 really good white kids, good-looking white kids. But if these were 4 black kids, they'd say, well, that's how they are. They keep fighting with each other. They keep shooting at each other in the. And I'm sorry. I just think the reason it was such a big story was because these were 4 really good-looking, not just average-looking, good-looking. If they all looked like me, they'd still say, okay, well,
Or maybe they'd be like, he must have had a reason.
They must have had a reason. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm sure they're going to do another vote. So
they're going to do another vote.
I'm sure I'm sure they changed Gates's mind that he's going to vote for him now.
By the way, folks, what is the definition of insanity?
You're right.
Trying to get a House Speaker.
Trying to get a House Speaker. That's the definition of insanity. Yeah.
I think Josh is exactly right. I think that they made whatever concession to him. They're changing their votes to do one more vote tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
What, they're not going to turn him in for bicycle seat sniffing or what?
Well, it's funny, though. You see the headline for CNN or for Google. It says, Matt Gaetz prevents McCarthy from winning. But that's not true. It wasn't just Matt Gaetz, but, all the drama and him being the last person and all that stuff.
I don't know what the Republicans want. I don't think they know what they want. I mean, it's insane. These are elected officials that were sent to Washington to work for the people, and all they're doing is working for themselves. I mean, how do these guys what does a congressman get paid now, Josh? Do you know? Something like $140,000 a year, something like that?
It's in that range, yeah.
Yeah, in that range. How come they get $140,000 a year, and after they've been in Congress for about 4 or 5 years, they're millionaires? How does that happen? How does that happen?
Insider trading.
Something. I mean, I understand how an ex-president becomes wealthier. Like the Obamas were pretty poor when they went into office. When they came out, now they were able to turn it into movie deals and television deals, and he does a lot of speaking, and Michelle writes books. And they're worth many millions of dollars. And I can see why that happens, because you were president of the United States and you have stories to tell. But, I mean, this is amazing. This is just amazing. Maybe we shouldn't pay them anything.
They wouldn't take you.
They should have to take like a burger job at McDonald's to make ends meet,
You got my order wrong.
Because on our $140,000 a year, they ain't doing much of anything,
They only work like 100 days out of the year.
Is it that now?
It's almost that bad.
I thought it was even less,
We got Easter break and Memorial Day break and Labor Day break, August break, and
Christmas break too.
Yeah, we have to. You always hear about them. They have to pass this thing before they go on hiatus.
Yeah.
And you're going again. Why don't you just stay there through Christmas and get some stuff done, you morons? And it was kind of nice. I mean, not kind of nice, but it was kind of good for the Republicans that they they got back in as a majority in the Congress. But now that you've done it, do it with some dignity. And there's no dignity there. I mean, you thought that Boehner was terrible in his time? God, Boehner was a god so far as I'm concerned. At least he cried now and then. And
I don't, like I said, this McCarthy deal, I'm sure they've struck some deal here, it looks like, but I mean, it's like when they nominated him again, he's got to stand up and put his hands in the air, button his suit. I mean, and then they nominate Jeffries, and he was just, like I said.
Okay, good.
I mean,
good for you.
McCarthy, he just has no humility at all. I mean, it's just like...
I hate that side of the aisle, of the Republican side, because they're such naysayers. The other day, somebody gave a speech, and they mentioned Nancy Pelosi and thanking her for the job she had done in her service to the country. And all the Democrats got up and applauded for Nancy Pelosi. The Republicans couldn't. I mean, she's not going to be speaker anymore. At least give her a little bit of an honor for the job that she did. You don't have to agree with her politics to honor her. I mean, it's amazing. It's just amazing. So I don't know about you guys, but I've had a great week this week. This has been a very entertaining week. So anyway, Brian, how's everything out where you are and in your life?
Good. Just the rain. So they say there's like 2 or 3 more storms coming between now and the 20th.
Yeah.
So there's like Saturday's supposed to be another big storm with big winds. So we have like an above ground pool that sort of got smashed up, and my basketball hoop crashed down.
Oh, so you got one of those those plastic things?
Yeah, it's like $1,000, and it was a pretty big one, like a 10 by 20 or something.
How deep is
Adrian,
it?
I taught her how to swim this last summer.
Oh, okay.
So it's good for her. Yeah.
Good. How deep is it though?
It's like 5 feet deep.
Okay.
It's perfect for her.
Yeah, because it's deeper than she is, so she has to learn how to float and do things like that.
I won't drown too. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So just that, but so today was a break, but then there's another one coming Saturday night, and then so it's like nonstop. So the bad thing is, then they still say we're in a drought.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Echo, what's the weather forecast?
The current weather is 40 degrees Fahrenheit with mostly clear skies. Tonight, you can look for cloudy skies moving in and out with a low of 36 degrees.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
Yeah, we're 52. It's not that cold, but it's just the rain's just going to be beating it up again.
Yeah. You know what I miss about being in San Francisco, though? The fog. I miss the fog. Is it still like it was, or is it less fog now?
No, there's still a lot of fog.
Oh, okay.
But it's cool because the Santa Cruz Mountains are right here. So, like, these last couple of days when the fog comes down and it's all overcast, if you squint, it looks like Hawaii because you can see the mountains, all green. So,
yeah.
But
yes.
Me, yeah.
Yeah, you.
Now, when you said fog, that New Jersey, where I live, it's all foggy. It's been like that for like 2 weeks. Like there's a lake here.
But I was just talking about San Francisco, and I miss the fog.
No, but I
believe me, I don't miss the fog in New Jersey.
Nobody misses
and I got news for you. I never will. Okay.
I know. Don't come to Jersey.
There's something very romantic. I got to tell you something. Am I right, Brian? There's something very romantic about the fog in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I would walk up a street, and it was kind of foggy, and I'd be there with a woman that I liked, and it was a nice, warm, wonderful feeling. I know, it sounds strange, folks, but fog was wonderful. And then the foghorns. Do they still have them?
I don't know.
Well, they did away with them because
they're still there. They're just electric.
But they're electric and they're phony. They all sound the same. Because they used to have these different foghorns, and they had different sounds. And so you would hear them almost talk to each other. And they would talk to each other. And then they did away with them because they felt that with radar and everything, you didn't need foghorns, because all they did was tell you where a rock outcropping was in the bay. And with radar, you don't need it. So they stopped doing them. And there were no more foghorns. And people complained that there were no more foghorns. So they went out to all these places and installed phony foghorns. In other words, they weren't working to tell anybody where anything was. It was just to have them out there. But they all sounded alike. And it's that way now. So,
yeah. Still nice, though.
Yeah, yeah. But a lot of people complained about that, though. They didn't like the fact that they stopped having the foghorns. But nothing crashed into anything, so, doesn't matter. What do we have left? We have about 2 minutes left. Anybody have anything they want to say? Josh?
Just watching this last vote, I guess. See what happens.
Okay.
Maybe somebody will
probably
they'll stab him in the back or something like that. I don't know. They must have worked out some scheme because somebody else voted present before Gates did, really early on. So now there's already 2 for that. So maybe maybe they convinced somebody else to do it.
How did Gates vote?
I hope it goes.
Yeah, they haven't gotten to him yet.
Oh. How far are we away from Matt Gates?
I'd have to hang on here.
I think, it'd be fun if they just skipped Matt Gates. They just didn't pay attention to him.
Himself. Come back.
Adam Solomon is trying to call tonight. Just now. This guy's been calling every single...
He's got a minute. Put him on just for a minute.
No. You don't want this.
Are you going to keep you?
You really don't want it. No.
They still got a little ways to go. They're only in the C's.
They're only in the what?
C's.
Oh, in the C's? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, gee, if I get off soon...
Crane was another important one, right? Crane was one of them that did president, I think? Or
I don't know if he was before. He didn't on this last round, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm sure they have some scheme or whatever. They'll do something, but not really sure what they worked out. But I figured when they changed to not adjourn, they worked something out or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe the Democrats should have voted to adjourn, then they could have worked out some kind of way they could have fucked him over.
I think they just want it to be over with so they can,
CNN says, Gates expected to back McCarthy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, he probably...
Typical suck ass.
He probably gave him a 14-year-old or something.
He gave you one free get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Hey, well, that's it. That's it for this.
Making the chairman of the ethics committee.
There we go.
With that, Josh gets the point. Okay. Thank you very much, Charlie. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Tony. And thank you, Charlene. Thanks to all of you for being here tonight. And have yourselves a really nice weekend and enjoy yourselves. And we'll see you again back here, same time, next week. Yeah, let's give a big wave goodbye, okay? There we go. There's a big wave goodbye. There we go. Okay. Oops, wait a minute. All we got left there is I gotta change over here. What did I do? I'm weird. Okay. Anyway, that's it. Jack Bishop is next. He's here with The Intersection. He's been on, this is fourth night tonight, fifth night tonight, so this week. So it's going pretty good. We'll see you again tomorrow, on Monday with the pop-up show. And then that's on Facebook at 4 o'clock Eastern. And then we will see you back here at 10:30 Eastern. On Wednesday with more what we call the Ramble. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. Have a nice weekend.